The Whispering House on Maplewood Lane, Maplewood Manor. The name sounded like something from a storybook. It stood at the end of a long, winding drive, hidden by tall oaks. Locals whispered about the house. They said it was haunted. They said it held secrets. No one dared to go near. A family's dream turns into a nightmare. The Mitchell family didn't believe the stories. They had heard the rumors about Maplewood Manor, the tales of strange occurrences and eerie happenings that had driven previous occupants away. But to them it was just that, stories. They were a practical family, not easily swayed by ghost tales and urban legends. They saw Maplewood Manor as a fresh start. The house, with its grand architecture and sprawling grounds, represented a new beginning for them. It was a place where they could build new memories and leave behind the hustle and bustle of city life. John, the father, was a writer. He had been struggling with writer's block for months, and the serene, isolated environment of Maplewood Manor seemed like the perfect remedy. The quiet, the solitude, the inspiration that the old house could provide, it was exactly what he needed to finish his novel. He needed a quiet place to work. The manor, nestled deep in the woods, offered the peace and tranquility that he craved. Away from the distractions of the city, he hoped to find his creative spark once more. His wife Mary loved the old-world charm. She'd always been fascinated by history and antiques, and Maplewood Manor was a treasure trove of both. The vintage furniture, the intricate woodwork, the sense of stepping back in time, it was a dream come true for her. Their son Danny was just 7. To him the manor was a giant playground, full of nooks and crannies to explore. He was too young to understand the significance of the house's history or the whispers that seemed to follow them. He didn't know about the whispers, the eerie sounds that seemed to come from nowhere, the cold spots in the hallways, the feeling of being watched. These were things that only the adults noticed. Danny was blissfully unaware, caught up in the excitement of his new home. He was excited about the big house, the endless rooms to explore, the vast grounds to run around in. It was an adventure waiting to happen. To Danny, Maplewood Manor was a place of wonder and excitement, not a house with a dark past. As the Mitchells settled into their new home, they began to notice small, unsettling things. At first, it was just little oddities, a door that wouldn't stay closed, a light that flickered for no reason. They brushed these off as quirks of an old house, nothing more. But as days turned into weeks, the occurrences became harder to ignore. John would hear footsteps in the hallway when he was alone in his study. Mary would find objects moved from where she had left them. Danny started talking about an imaginary friend who seemed a little too real. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to come from the walls themselves, echoing through the empty rooms. The feeling of being watched became a constant presence, a shadow that followed them everywhere. The Mitchells tried to rationalize what was happening. They told themselves it was just their imagination, that the house was old and creaky, that there was a logical explanation for everything. But deep down, they knew something was wrong. The dream of a fresh start had turned into a nightmare. The house that was supposed to be their sanctuary had become a place of fear and uncertainty. The whispers, the footsteps, the feeling of being watched, it was all too real. And the Mitchells were trapped in the middle of it with no way out. Danny's fear. A child senses the shadows. Danny felt it first, a coldness, a presence. He saw things in the shadows. He heard whispers when no one was around. "Mummy, the house is talking," he said. Mary dismissed it as an active imagination, but Danny knew better. Something was wrong. Whispers, shadows, and icy breezes. The whispers grew louder. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed shut. Mary felt a coldness that chilled her to the bone. John, skeptical at first, couldn't ignore it any longer. The house was alive, and it was angry. The tragedy of Clara Wainwright, a life cut short. Clara was a young woman whose story has been buried in the annals of history, but her sorrowful tale still echoes through the halls of Maplewood Manor. Her life, filled with promise and potential, was abruptly ended, leaving behind a legacy of heartbreak and mystery. John started researching the history of Maplewood Manor. He was a historian with a passion for uncovering the hidden stories of old estates. His curiosity was piqued by the whispers of a ghostly presence and the tragic events that supposedly took place within the manor's walls. Determined to uncover the truth, he delved into the archives, sifting through dusty records and forgotten documents. He discovered a tragic tale. Among the yellowed pages and brittle clippings, John found references to a young woman named Clara Wainwright. The more he read, the more he felt a connection to her story. It was as if Clara herself was guiding him, urging him to piece together the fragments of her life and death. A young woman named Clara Wainwright had lived there in the 1800s. She was known for her beauty and grace, a beloved figure in the local community. Clara's life seemed perfect on the surface, but beneath the facade she harbored deep sadness and unfulfilled dreams. Her engagement to a wealthy man was supposed to be the start of a new chapter, a promise of happiness and stability. She had been engaged to a wealthy man, but he left her at the altar. The betrayal was a scandal that rocked the small town. Clara's fiancé, a man of considerable influence and wealth, had promised her a life of luxury and love. But on the day of their wedding, he vanished without a trace, leaving Clara humiliated and heartbroken. The townspeople gossiped and speculated, but no one knew the true reason for his disappearance. Clara, heartbroken and shamed, took her own life within the house. The once vibrant and hopeful young woman was consumed by despair. In the quiet, darkened rooms of Maplewood Manor, she made the tragic decision to end her suffering. Her death cast a long shadow over the manor, and her spirit is said to linger, a reminder of a life cut short by sorrow and betrayal. John's research brought Clara's story back to life, ensuring that her memory would not be forgotten. The night of terror, a desperate escape. One night the activity reached a terrifying peak, furniture overturned, lights shattered. A cold wind howled through the house and a woman's blood-curdling scream echoed in the night. Terrified, the Mitchells fled into the night. They left everything behind. Abandoned and feared. The legacy of Maplewood Manor. The Mitchells never returned to Maplewood Manor. The house stands empty to this day, a testament to its dark past. Locals say that Clara's spirit still haunts the house, forever searching for the love she lost. And sometimes on the wind, you can still hear her heartbroken cries. But what led to this haunting? The story begins in the late 1800s when the Mitchell family first moved into the grand estate. The manor was a symbol of their wealth and status, a sprawling mansion with lush gardens and opulent interiors. It was a place of joy and celebration, where the Mitchells hosted lavish parties and entertained the elite of society. Clara Mitchell, the youngest daughter, was known for her beauty and grace. She was the heart of Maplewood Manor, bringing life and laughter to its halls. But her life took a tragic turn when she fell in love with a young artist named Thomas. Their love was pure and passionate, but it was not meant to be. Thomas was of humble origins, and Clara's father disapproved of their relationship. One fateful night, Clara and Thomas planned to elope, hoping to escape the constraints of their social status. But their plan was discovered, and in a fit of rage, Clara's father locked her in her room, forbidding her from ever seeing Thomas again. Heartbroken and desperate, Clara tried to escape, but in the chaos, a fire broke out in the manor. Thomas perished in the flames, and Clara, unable to bear the loss, took her own life. Since that tragic night, Maplewood Manor has been shrouded in mystery and sorrow. The once grand estate fell into disrepair, and the Mitchell family, unable to bear the memories, abandoned it. Over the years, the manor became a place of fear and superstition. Locals whispered about strange occurrences and ghostly apparitions. Some claimed to have seen Clara's ghost wandering the halls, her face etched with sorrow, while others spoke of hearing her mournful cries echoing through the night. Despite its dilapidated state, Maplewood Manor remains a poignant reminder of a love that defied societal norms and a tragedy that left an indelible mark on the community. The legacy of Maplewood Manor is not just one of fear and abandonment, but also of love, loss, and the enduring human spirit. As the wind rustles through the overgrown vines and the old house creaks in the silence, one can't help but feel the weight of its history and the lingering presence of Clara's spirit, forever searching for the love she lost.